Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayam Vishnupada Paramahamsa Praya Rajakacharya Ashtota Shuddha Shri Srimad Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jayam Vishnupada Paramahamsa Bhari Rajakacharya Ashtota Shuddha Shri Srimad Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Sikaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasudeva Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Fifth canto, the creative impetus, chapter 14, the force of enjoyment, text 29. So what exactly should we do with the verse or the... Because there's been different things happening these days. Okay, so just chant it and then read the translation? Okay. Yeah, if you like, you could. All right. 5:14:29, and the mic's right near you.
Kadachirishwarasya Bhagavato Vishnos Chakrat Padamanab Adi Dviparadhapavarga Kalopalakshanat Padivartitena Vayasa Rangnasa Hadata Abrahmatunastambadinam Bhutanam Animishato Mishatam Vitrasta Vidiyas Tameveshwaram Kala Chakra Nijayudham Sakshad Bhagavantam Yagya Purusham Anadritya Pakanda Devataha Kanka Guridra Bhakavata Praya Arya Samaya Parivrita Sanketena Vidatte.
Translation and commentary by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. The personal weapon used by Lord Krishna, the disc, is called Hari Chakra, the disc of Hari. This chakra is the wheel of time. It expands from the beginning of the atoms up to the time of Brahma's death, and it controls all activities. It is always revolving and spending the lives of the living entities, from Lord Brahma down to an insignificant blade of grass, period. Thus one changes from infancy to childhood to youth and maturity, and thus one approaches the end of life. It is impossible to check this wheel of time. This wheel is very exacting because it is the personal weapon of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sometimes the conditioned soul, fearing the approach of death, wants to worship someone who can save him from imminent danger. Yet he does not care for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose weapon is the indefatigable time factor. The conditioned soul instead takes shelter of a man-made God described in unauthorized scriptures. Such gods are like buzzards, vultures, herons, and crows. Vedic scriptures do not refer to them. Imminent death is like the attack of a lion, and neither vultures, buzzards, crows, nor herons can save one from such an attack. One who takes shelter of unauthorized man-made gods cannot be saved from the clutches of death.
That's just the translation.
Yeah, purport. It is stated, hariṁ vinā naiva mṛtiṁ taranti. No one can save himself from the cruel hands of death without being favored by Hari, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In Bhagavad-gītā it is stated, māma evaye prapadyante māyām etāṁ taranti te. You got there some gifts, Tapa, or Prakash? Yeah. Who are the gifts for? Oh. Oh, I see. For Jayadvaita Swami. Very good. Whoever fully surrenders unto Krishna can be saved from the cruel hands of material nature. The conditioned soul, however, sometimes wants to take shelter of a demigod, man-made god, pseudo-incarnation, or bogus svāmī or yogī. All these cheaters claim to follow religious principles, and all this has become very popular in this age of Kali. There are many pāṣaṇḍīs who, without referring to the śāstras, pāṣaṇḍīs are atheists, without referring to the śāstras, scriptures, pose themselves as incarnations, and foolish people follow them. Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, has left behind him Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam and Bhagavad-gītā. Not referring to these authorized scriptures, rascals take shelter of man-made scriptures and try to compete with Lord Krishna. That is the greatest difficulty one encounters when trying to promote spiritual consciousness in human society. The Krishna consciousness movement is trying its best to bring people back to Krishna consciousness in its pure form. But the pāṣaṇḍīs and atheists who are cheaters are so numerous that sometimes we become perplexed and wonder how to push this movement forward. In any case, we cannot accept the unauthorized ways of so-called incarnations, gods, cheaters, and bluffers, who are described here as crows, vultures, buzzards, and herons. Omega nativirandasya garanjana shalakaya chakshulan maditamena tasmai shri gurave namaha. Mukam karitivachalam pangam langai tegidam yakipatamaham vande shri gurun diditaranam vancha kaptiribishcha kripa sindhu bhevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada would bring up that you have to buy a ticket to a particular destination, and you can't expect to buy a ticket for a particular destination and arrive somewhere else. Like, you buy a ticket to Mumbai, India, you're not going to end up in Germany. I mean, like I'm saying, a direct flight from Los Angeles to Mumbai. You're not going to end up in Germany. Or if you buy a ticket to Germany, a direct ticket from Germany, from LAX to Germany, you're not going to end up in Mumbai. So according to the particular path that somebody chooses, they get a different destination. Not all paths lead to the same goal. So this is one strange idea, unauthorized strange idea that's floating around modern human society, that, oh, we could just do anything and everything and it's all the same, right? Whether you worship Shiva, or whether you worship Krishna, or you worship Sai Baba, or you worship whoever, it's all the same. Everybody's one, we're all God. All these different ideas are there. And this is all just based on mental speculation, not authorized by any real scriptural injunctions. So real scriptural injunctions, or real religion, comes from God. Dharman tu shakshad bhagavat pranitam. It comes from Krishna. Real religion, religious principles. And it doesn't come from the concoctions of our mind or anyone else's minds. Just like Jayadvaita Swami was saying yesterday, he said how the mind could cook up all types of wild things. And that is absolutely true. All types of wild philosophies and weird things people do for happiness. That's the mind. But Dharman tu shakshad bhagavat pranitam. Real religion comes from Krishna, comes from God. It doesn't come from man. And also this idea, sometimes people, they say, yeah, the opinion of the public is the opinion of God. But this is another weird idea. It means bizarre, strange, incorrect idea. And why is that? Because we see that the opinion of the public is sometimes, if not all the time, majority speaking, in Kali Yuga especially, just wrong. Or you could say demonic, immoral. Just like the opinion of the mass of public nowadays is wholesale mass slaughtering of animals. That's the opinion of the public. So the opinion of the public is the opinion of God, but it doesn't work like that. That's not the opinion of Krishna. His opinion is to close all of them, slaughterhouses. Or even in this country, in other countries, sometimes the mass or the majority of the public or a lot of people think something's right. Just like not so long ago, there was heavy discrimination. Those who had fair skin, they heavily discriminated against those who didn't have fair skin. And aside from just discriminating against them, they acted out, they severely acted out in violence against them to the point of killing them. And that was, in many people's minds, okay. It's like, you know, the person's different from us, and this reason, this reason, this reason, so we could kill him. This is a bizarre idea that these people's minds were cooking up. So, to say that the mass or the majority of the population, their opinion is the opinion of God, that doesn't make any sense. That's incorrect. You also have people. We'll go through a long list. You also have people like self-made gurus, right? Yeah, you have this person. It's true. It's true. They say these things. This person, he's an American guy. I don't know where he is now, and I don't really care. But this American man and self-made guru, and his claim was that he went up on top of a mountain, I forgot which mountain, and he was meditating up there. And then in his meditation, Mahatma Gandhi appeared, and, Sai Baba and Krishna and Jesus Christ and all these different personalities, they appeared to him in his meditation. And then they blessed him, and he became a guru. And now he cheats everybody for their money. Which is, if you analyze what the main thing he's doing, that's exactly what he's doing. I mean, he's not giving any real spiritual knowledge. He's not helping these people. Actually, one devotee, before he joined the brahmacharya ashram, he said he went to go see this person, because he was searching for the truth, and he went to go see this guru and to have darshan, right? So you go into the room, and he's sitting there, and you go up to him, and you literally just, you two just stare in each other's eyes. Just stare in each other's eyes, and then for caution, just and then that's it. And then he walks out, and then people just keep on going like that, People just keep on. And of course you have to pay. You have to pay. That's part of the, spiritual realization. That's how you get the effect of darshan, But aside from this person not being any authorized sampradaya, not having the line of gurus he's coming in, which is very important. Aside from him introducing things like that, just looking at the person, okay, charging people large sums of money for what? He's also just publicly gross, like publicly lusty, not even trying to hide it in interviews and so on. Mentioning it about if he was a whatever. I don't even want to get into the lusty details, but just publicly making it clear how much of a low-class person he is. So you have these types of people in human society, these people who think, all paths lead to the same goal, so you could just do whatever you want, doesn't really matter, it's all spiritual, which is wrong. The opinion of God is the opinion, or the opinion of the public is the opinion of God. And you have these people, self-made gurus, and introducing all these strange practices, and outwardly just being just like any other licentious Kali Yuga. So you have these people, they're very prominent in the age of Kali. But they can't give one any real spiritual relief. They can't give any real spiritual happiness, these people. They can't put out the fire of material existence burning in people's heart. They don't have that ability. Like in the next verse, tomorrow's verse, we'll hear about people who are like monkey-like people. So these people, these so-called gurus, they're monkey-like people, and they don't have the ability to bring their disciples past the monkey platform. Which someone may say, well, hey, what do you mean it's fun to be a monkey? Just jump around here and there. You don't have to go to Trader Joe's to buy your fruit. Just jump around different trees and grab them, and no need of working, right? Like Prabhupada talks about dogs and hogs working very hard, and usually don't hear about monkeys working hard, but anyways, some people may have this idea, right? Oh, it must be fun, right? Being a monkey. bunch of she monkeys and but as Srila Prabhupada states many times throughout his books, the human form of life is not meant to be wasted, like a monkey, right? In monkey business. But the human form of life is meant for God realization, which is far above the monkey platform, the animal platform. So these people, again, they can't themselves transcend this animal platform, and they can't bring their disciples past that platform. And this platform, this animal platform, means a platform of anxiety, it means a platform of fear, it means a platform of just super base qualities, it means a platform of uncertainty, of ignorance, of darkness, of just being abused, really. A platform of just having pain inflicted on one. But a real guru can bring their disciples way far past the animal platform. They could bring their disciples to the platform of eternality, of means of realizing that, of being reinstated in their original position, of eternality, knowledge, and bliss, of a platform of fearlessness. Like Srila Prabhupada was asked, what do you feel when you chant Hare Krishna? And Srila Prabhupada said, I feel fearless. So the guru is fearless, the real authentic guru is fearless, and he's able to give the disciples a way in which they could also be fearless. And that's very important, to be fearless, because there's a lot of things to be afraid of in this world, which causes a lot of anxiety, right? What about my future? What about this? What about that? There's so many things to be afraid of. But if we take shelter of Krishna, if we take shelter of the bona fide spiritual master, then we're not afraid. It's a platform of peace, fearlessness. So, and it's the business of the devotees to first and foremost themselves understand the Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy and accept it. We have to understand and we have to accept. Of course, we could do whatever we want. It's a free world, but don't say I'm a devotee. We shouldn't say I'm a devotee, and especially we shouldn't preach if we haven't accepted the Vaishnava philosophy and understood it. And if we have a hard time accepting certain things, don't contradict Srila Prabhupada. We shouldn't contradict Srila Prabhupada. Oh, Prabhupada, he kind of didn't exactly mean that. He meant this, but I actually know he meant this, but I actually don't agree with it, so I'm going to change it to suit my own sense gratification and to suit your sense gratification. In other words, there's a great need for preachers throughout the world, but preachers means they have to preach the right thing. They can't skew the philosophy according to their own understanding. So therefore, as it is, right? We present things as it is. So we understand, we accept, and then we preach. And this is very important because there's so many people with ideas, and we'll just say wrong ideas. They just have wrong ideas. And many of these people happen to be Indian. But many of these people happen to be American, all other ethnicities. Of course, they're spirit souls, but in Indian bodies and American bodies. I mean, sometimes Indians come to the temple and devotees think, oh, they're already devotees. No. Devotees of who? Sai Baba? Devotees of who? I mean, who are they devotees of? And why are they devotees of them? You know, why do they come to the temple? Who they're praying, coming to take darshan of Krishna. What are they praying for? Now, of course, Krishna says in the Bhagavad-gītā, chatur vidha bhajante mam. Those who they're pious, they come to Krishna. They're in distress, or they want some material benedictions. Right? Give me a house. Give me this. Give me that. That's piety. But at best, they're mixed devotees, but even then, maybe they just have some faith in Krishna that he's just like all the other gods, and I'm covering my bases here, right? I also prayed to Shiva this morning. I also prayed to Ganesh this morning. I prayed to all the gods, right? So in other words, we shouldn't think that, oh, the Indians, they come here and they know. No, they don't know. Most of them, a lot of them don't know. There is a lot of confusion. They think all the gods are one. That's not correct. In other words, they also need to be taught Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy. And Srila Prabhupada, of course, when he went to Africa, he told the devotees, because they're all preaching to Indians, because in many ways, Indians are easy to preach to, right? They come to the temple, they take darshan, they're pious, they take prasadam, they have some familiarity with the culture, right? They may be in the mode of goodness, some of them. But Srila Prabhupada also wanted the locals to be preached to. And Prabhupada was actually upset. He said, why are you preaching just to the Indians? He said, you should open the doors, have kirtan, and have prasadam, and invite all the local Africans in. And they came, and Prabhupada preached to them. So I think that's understood here in ISKCON San Diego, that we need to preach to the locals. Devotees are doing that every day, practically. Thank God. So devotees are doing that. So I think it's understood. Whereas in some places in America, maybe there's more lack of understanding amongst the temples, ISKCON temples, meaning they're not preaching to locals so much, and maybe they're just preaching to Indians a lot, right? But my conviction is that we should preach to both. We don't have to just locals. And Indians, they already know everything. No, they don't. They're already good to go. No, they're not. They're already pious enough. No, they're not. They're not on the right platform. Or we just preach to Indians, right? Oh, well, they're easy to preach to. They're pious, right? They give donations. They come and see the deities. They're in the mode of goodness. Let's just they're not so gross as the Americans. In many ways, it's true. So let's just focus on them. No, we focus on both, because they're all spirit souls. People, spirit souls in Indian bodies are spirit souls in America. They're all spirit souls. So when they come, because Americans, generally speaking, they won't come unless we invite them. We have to give them cards. We have to put up posters, which was another thing. We had a bunch of posters to put up all over town. Posters, cards, hariṁ. We have to somehow kind of get them in the door, and they do come. And and also Indians, they don't necessarily. They also need to be invited, of course, but a lot of them just come on their own. You know, like there's like these two girls. One of them went to going to SDSU, and her sister was visiting, and they're in their 20s or whatever. And then they visited here, and they're taking darshan, and so many people are like that. Or some couple came here and with their son and daughter, and they live here in San Diego, and they're coming to take darshan, and they're saying they're praying to Krishna because they want to get a house, asking for Krishna's blessings to get a house. So they come, naturally, a lot of them. But when they come, we shouldn't assume that they all already have Srila Prabhupada's books. Like, oh, they're Indians, they have Prabhupada's books. No, they probably have this so-called guru, that so-called guru, and, you know, all these books. Actually, on a side note, we'll do a little side note here. But, you know, Bhakti Vikas Swami is quite strong, you know. Of course, they say devotees are like soft like a rose and hard like a thunderbolt, so he also has that soft side as well. But anyways, one devotee told me this story that Maharaj he went to somebody's house. He was staying with them, some you know, pious, good-hearted Indians who, I don't know their background, but they were devotees. So anyways, he was staying with them in America, and he was with Tirtha Maharaj. So Bhakti Vikas Swami walked into the house, and he walked to the bookshelf. And he, you know, Tirtha Maharaj was sitting behind him, or standing behind him, and Bhakti Vikas Swami started going like this with the books, and giving them to Tirtha Maharaj, different books. Tirtha Maharaj had a stack of books. And Maharaj looked at Tirtha Maharaj and he said, "Throw them away." And they were, I mean, you know, whether a devotee has that particular, you know, I've never heard of anyone doing that besides him, but we could say that these books were worth throwing away. Whether you want to do it this way or that way, they're worth throwing away. So anyways, so Tirtha Maharaj threw them away. But fast forward. Radha Krishna, our Radha Krishna here from Iran, remember he was here, Radha Krishna. So before he was Ruspe, that was his name. So Ruspe, he flew out to Chicago to get initiated by His Holiness Rompad Swami. So Ruspe was sitting there in the fire yagya initiation, you know, they're kind of waiting to get initiated. And then he saw this devotee next to him, Indian devotee. He started talking to him. And he was also getting initiated by Rompad Swami. And then Ruspe, he started saying, "Oh, yeah, I heard this story. There was like, Bhakti Vikas Swami was at somebody's house, and he was like passing these books to Tirtha Maharaj. Tirtha Maharaj was throwing them away, and you know, this and that. And then this Indian devotee was sitting by him. He started getting all red. You know, he started blushing, and Ruspe was like, "Oh, what's going on?" And then that Indian he said, "Oh, that was me." You know, so he got initiated. You know, good. And Ruspe became Radha Krishna. And this devotee, I don't know what his name was, but so all right, going back, that these people, we shouldn't assume they have Prabhupada's books. They have so many other books. This Chopra, this Baba, this person, that Baba, this Swami, right? So many, this doctor, that doctor, right? But Prabhupada is not there. He may not be there. So we want to ensure that when they come, and if we see them, we don't let them leave without Prabhupada's books. And whether that means selling or whether that means giving, something, you know. And an invitation to the Sunday feast. We have our Sunday feast cards. So that's nice. And of course they get prasadam. And then by getting the real message as it is, Srila Prabhupada's Bhagavad-gītā or other books, then people get the right idea. Then these pious people may become devotees. So it's important also to try to reach out to them. Because, a lot of these ideas are actually coming from India. all the gods are one, and we're all one, and we're all God. This is imported from India. All paths lead to the same goal, straight from India. People dreaming up things and saying that Sai Baba came to them, and Mahatma Gandhi and Krishna and Jesus Christ came and enlightened them. I mean, I don't exactly know if that's being imported from India, but you do get self-made gurus in India. So a lot of these ideas are just flying across the ocean from India. So, in other words, everybody needs help. And that is the duty of the devotees, to give them the right idea. And Srila Prabhupada says here, this Krishna conscious movement is trying its best to bring people back to Krishna consciousness in its pure form. But the pāṣaṇḍīs and atheists who are cheaters are so numerous that sometimes we become perplexed. So Srila Prabhupada said, sometimes we become perplexed and wonder how to push this movement forward. So here's another one. Devamrita Swami, he said that one devotee told him, she was in a club in Hawaii before she was a devotee, and she was there, drinking or whatever people do at the club, and she saw this person from a distance, and it happened to be her guru. Means this person wrote many books and they sold millions of copies. So she saw him. Wow, this is my self-help guru. And so then she goes up to him, close, and he's with his buddies, and the guy's just absolutely wasted. He's completely drunk. And then she didn't think, oh, well, that's part of the, guru image. You sometimes drink, sometimes do this, sometimes, it's whatever. So she didn't become so bewildered by that. But then she got closer, and then she heard him speaking, and he was laughing with his buddies. And he was saying, I can't believe it. I can't believe it. He said, I've written so many books, and they're absolute garbage. And he's laughing, and people are buying millions of them, And then she said she just, her heart sunk, and she was just, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening. This is like somebody I look up to, and as an enlightened person, and writing so many beautiful books and all this stuff. And now he's he's laughing with his buddies in Hawaii in a club, completely drunk, how he wrote garbage. So anyway, she became a devotee eventually. But so yeah, Prabhupada, so in other words, they're pumping out books left and right. They're holding seminars, they're opening churches and temples and centers, and they're all over Facebook and Instagram, and they're just pumping out material, constantly as we speak. So Prabhupada says we become perplexed how to push this movement forward. But we could preach on social media platforms, different ways, book distribution, hariṁ, different things we could do. So that's what we should try to do. That this is telling how people are cheated in the force of enjoyment, but we should see it as a calling to us, that people are suffering in this force of material enjoyment, and therefore I should try to help them. Instead of just saying, oh, well, ha, 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 they're being cheated, and I'm not being cheated, so, all right. But the idea is Vaishnavas feel pain. Experiencing other people's pain means, or seeing other people in pain, right? Paradukhi, that they feel this suffering of others. So that should be impetus. Actually, this whole chapter should be impetus to try to get people out of the forest. So, all right, does anybody have any questions? Yes. Or comments? Dimitri?
Just a
and
quick
then
question.
Prakash, I think. Yes.
You mentioned Sai Baba, and I'm not very familiar. Could you please
That's
tell
good.
generally, generally, what was the philosophy?
I mean, to this day, I still can't grasp why people worship him. I mean, I know he performed some magic, but even that, I mean, wasn't that impressive, you know. But it just goes to show, actually, and Krishna says in the Bhagavad-gītā, if you want to have faith in somebody, and if you don't want to have faith in me, then he makes your faith strong. I mean, if it's not this Baba or that Baba or this Chopra or that Chopra, it's faith in sense gratification. It's faith in surfing. It's faith in so many things. Whereas yesterday Maharaj was very nicely given a very vivid description. It's faith in, and if it's a man, it's faith in a woman. It's a woman, it's a faith in man. It means having faith in something or someone that, oh, this is going to give me happiness. They're going to give me happiness. But his philosophy practically is practically that he's God, and he accepts that type of worship, that he's Bhagavan. And he has many devout followers over the world. So, of course, he left his body some years ago. Yeah, 2011. You have something to say?
Yeah, I was going to suggest that his only qualification as God was that, I guess there's two things. One is that he just said it. He just, at one point in his life, he just declared that he was God, that he was a reincarnation of Shirdi Sai Baba. And then, and maybe there was some astrological thing or something like that. But, and then also that he manifested like ashes, but he wore long sleeves, so it's kind of like, okay, you know.
Yeah.
And now, just like a little fun fact, he actually reincarnated now. He's Prem Sai Baba.
Really?
He's still a kid.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Prem Sai Baba?
Prem Sai Baba.
But who's claiming that? The mother?
Father? I think maybe it was an astrological thing, but yeah, they're worshiping him now.
Yeah, because I mean, to be a guru is like, I mean, they rack in a lot of money, you know, so a lot, like almost unimaginable amounts of money. Of course, it's imaginable because we imagine so many things nowadays because we know these big guys with lots of money, right? Bezos or whoever it is, but they also reckon a lot of money. But that's another thing. It's not that, you know, people think, oh, well, sometimes these self-made gurus and self-made gods think, oh, well, my business doesn't work. You know, my business, the stock market, my investing in stocks didn't work. All right, let me be a guru, you know. I think Javita Prabhu had something.
I don't know how I got into doing this research, but I came across a website that was in development, and he had one of his disciples taking Krishna Leela and applying it to him with his approval. In other words, that all the Leela we read about in the Krishna book and everything, that was actually me, he insisted, and so he would begin it. So you can imagine how distasteful that would be for any genuine Vaishnava who encountered that. He also opened a lot of hospitals and things, charitable institutions, with a lot of the money he came, which ran into the billions.
Yeah.
And it's still going on.
I think Prakash had something. Yeah, I mean, sometimes, like when Srila Prabhupada was walking on Juhu Beach and he was speaking with Dr. Patel, who was very energetic, very energetic and challenging sometimes with Srila Prabhupada. So there's all these pastimes with Dr. Patel and Srila Prabhupada, quite amusing. And you could hear the morning walks also. But devotees were confused. They say, Srila Prabhupada, we don't know what Mr. Patel is. I mean, sometimes he speaks like a Mayavadi, sometimes he speaks like a Vaishnava. We're not really sure. And then Prabhupada gave a story one time. He said that there was a man and he spoke all these different languages, so no one really knew where he was from. So they wanted to know, where he's from. So they went up to him and they hit him with a stick, and then he blurted out some words in his natural language. So they found out. So Srila Prabhupada said about Patel, I hit him where it hurts, and then he came out in his nature. So in other words, he had some impersonal leading. Like one time Prabhupada was quite critical of a lot of self-made gurus and people claiming to be God, and he would speak against that because it's wrong and people are being cheated. So he was doing that one day, and then Dr. Patel got really upset. It's like really, and they started arguing with each other, started shouting at each other. And then Patel's cronies or whatever, they're saying, Dr. Patel, stop! Swamiji has a heart condition. Stop! And then it said Dr. Patel, he stopped walking with him because he would walk with him every morning. So then Dr. Patel stopped walking with him, and Prabhupada was walking with his disciples. But it said that Dr. Patel and Srila Prabhupada, they would see each other while on the beach, but Dr. Patel, he was avoiding them. So then one day, after some days after this argument they got into, and Dr. Patel avoiding him, Dr. Patel saw Srila Prabhupada, and he just walked up to him and he offered his obeisances. And then he's please forgive me, Swamiji. And he said, something moved me. I wanted to come see you. And I'm sorry. And then he said, Dr. Patel said, it's just tough because you're criticizing all of these saints, these great saints of India. And I was taught to respect all of them, so it's difficult for me. And Prabhupada said, that's true, I am criticizing them. And he said, but my business is to tell you who is a saint and who is not a saint. And he says, that's why I'm mentioning this. So it's important, because some people, oh, he's a saint. But no, if he's not, he's not. And aside from not being a saint, those persons have a lot of ability to actually damage people's lives. So that's why Prabhupada would speak against them. All right, any Zoomers?
Yes, Hare Krishna, Balaram Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
May I?
Yes.
Dandavat Pranams. Prabhu, my question is related to wondering how to push this movement forward. What is the meaning of Prabhupada saying, and I quote, if even one man becomes a pure devotee, we shall consider our attempt a success.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's there. That the devotee, like Srila Prabhupada is saying, even if one man becomes a pure devotee, we should consider our attempts a success. So one thing is that the devotee preaches, but they're not attached to the result. Means we may preach and preach and preach, and if people don't become devotees, what can we do? I mean, we've tried, right? We have to be detached. So that's an important aspect. And Srila Prabhupada had that detachment, that he would just preach and leave the results to Krishna. But Srila Prabhupada would say that, for example, he said a number of times that he said, we're trying to create many moons. Means moons, they give off illumination, so devotees are like moons, right? In Kali Yuga. So he said, actually, we were just thinking of having one moon, because to expect someone to become a devotee in Kali Yuga and to become a pure devotee, it's not so easy. Like I was talking with one devotee, and I said, it's surprising that anybody joins. It actually is. I mean, looking at people's backgrounds, looking at what people were into, I mean, it's very surprising people join and actually become devotees. Means in the Western world and also in India. There's a lot of stuff going on in India, too. It's amazing anybody joins, actually, and becomes a devotee. Surprising. So you could say Srila Prabhupada's hinting at that. But he was wanting to make at least one moon, because one moon, just making one pure devotee could help a lot of people. But then Srila Prabhupada said, luckily, we have created many moons. There's many devotees who are like moons. So that's something about that. I don't know, maybe Dravida Prabhu has some comment.
Well, I think he may have also gotten that from Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur.
Mm.
And we can see how the passing on of the torch kind of took place, where Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati really wanted to expand the Gaudiya Math beyond India.
Yeah.
And he sent what he considered his best preachers to England, backed by money. You know, unlike Prabhupada, they had plenty of money. There was one book actually that was produced just for that. This book about Lord Chaitanya by a really nice writer. I think it was based on the Chaitanya Bhagavat, and they had a special book that was, you know, very readable by Westerners, very good English. And so the idea is that, and it was proven that Bhaktisiddhanta, among all his followers, Srila Prabhupada had shown like the moon. He really took on the gauntlet, so to speak. And it was very difficult, but he was able to make thousands and thousands of devotees.
Yeah.
And then from them, many other thousands became.
Yeah.
So that it's just like a fire, you know, like setting a fire in a forest or something.
Yeah.
If you just start, if it's potent one, then it can burn the whole forest.
Yeah.
All of the sins can be burned. You know, that's the idea.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, great point. That Srila Prabhupada said, even if we make one pure devotee, we consider our attempt a success. And as Dravida Prabhu was nicely mentioned, because creating one pure devotee, I mean, they could do a lot. Like mentioning Srila Prabhupada, right? You have Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. He started a whole revolution with the Gaudiya Math in India. I mean, it's powerful. And then you have Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur inspiring Srila Prabhupada, right? And then, because if you look at Srila Prabhupada's life, coming to America, I mean, sometimes devotees would ask him, right, oh, why did you create ISKCON? He said, oh, because I needed association. I wanted some devotee association. I mean, Prabhupada was the only devotee, right? In America, there wasn't any devotees. I mean, Prabhupada met, you know, Mukunda, who was Michael Grant, and he met, you know, Howard and whatever, Steve and all these. They weren't devotees. I mean, you know, he had to train them, and he created devotees. So, anyways, those are some comments.
Yes, Balarama Prabhu, if I may, I liked it when both of you, Dravida Prabhu also mentioned that, yes, one pure devotee is great, but generally speaking, this pure devotee may be capable of igniting a non-stopping fire.
Yes.
Thank you for that, Prabhu. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Okay, thank you, Hare Krishna. All right. Grantraj Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. All right, so tomorrow we'll hear